Hear ye, I just got the newest parchment from Hollywood with all the biggest news from the biggest celebrities, so let's see what it says here. Let's see, oh, yeah, okay, makes sense. Another movie from Rian Johnson, which happens to be in the 90s percentage and Rotten Tomatoes, still turns out to be divisive. Knives Out. And I'm sorry my review of Knives Out is kind of late. I saw this movie in New York City because I was there for Thanksgiving vacation. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, but now I'm back, so let's talk about Knives Out. So Knives Out is the newest movie from writer and director Rian Johnson. You know his name. He really made his name with the most divisive Star Wars movie ever. I still love it. So now he has brought us a whodunit mystery. Knives Out revolves around this family. It's a wealthy family. The old man of the family, played by Christopher Plummer, he plays a very famous mystery author, but on the night after his 85th birthday, he dies under mysterious circumstances. So now everyone in the family who was there on that night of his 85th birthday celebration is brought in for questioning. We're gonna try to solve the mystery of how and why Christopher Plummer's character died. Who done it? And so here we go. Now I really ended up enjoying this movie. And I'll be completely honest with you, full transparency right here, I'm not really educated when it comes to whodunit movies. I think the most famous ones out there are like Clue or The Hateful Eight, neither of which I've seen. I know, don't hurt me, but I haven't seen Clue, nor have I ever played the game. Don't hurt me. It's one of those things where I have nothing against the genre. I'm perfectly open to doing it. I've just never done it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have undergone some sort of fictional whodunit experience at some point in my life, but no memories really come into my head. Case in point, this whodunit movie experience is relatively new to me, and so I don't know if that plays a factor into it, but yeah, I really like this movie. Daniel Craig plays a detective who's questioning everyone, and he's awesome. I love his accent in this movie, because, you know, he's a British actor, but Southern or Western is like the easiest American accent for a British actor to do. With Daniel Craig's, I just fell right into it, because he's just that really smart detective that has his own methods of solving cases that are, I wouldn't say unorthodox, but they're just kind of out there. They're kind of bizarre, which adds a tinge of humor to this movie, and I felt it really worked. He had some good lines in this movie, especially the line you saw in the trailer where he's all like, "I suspect foul play." I love that line. That's the line I remember from this movie. But the main character in the movie is actually, it's not Daniel Craig himself, it's actually Ana de Armas' character. She's not actually a member of the family, she was more or less the caretaker of Christopher Plummer's character. She's actually the character that gets the most focus in this movie, and Ana de Armas, I felt, did a really good job. And I knew she was going places. After Blade Runner 2049, she didn't have that big of a role in it, she was more or less just the love interest. But this movie, you can tell she's really trying to perfect her craft. I'm hoping to see her in more things. I mean, she didn't blow my mind in this movie. I feel like her character could have been played by a number of actresses, but Ana de Armas did a really good job. Because, like yours truly, she's kind of new to this whole whodunit situation. It's scaring the hell out of her because she's like, I didn't want all this to happen to me, and she played that up really well. However, the standout character in this entire movie, for me anyway, was Chris Evans. I love Chris Evans in this movie. I'm so used to seeing him as Captain America, you know, the good, morally straight guy. In this movie, more or less, he's gone back to playing the Human Torch, because his character in this movie is an asshole, and it is hilarious to watch. Again, I love that moment in the first trailer where he's just sitting down and he's like, eat shit, definitely eat shit. I remember watching that for the first time in the first trailer and being like, oh my god, Cap, why? If for nothing else, it really shows the acting range that Chris Evans has, so props to Chris Evans in this movie. But really, when it comes to this movie, I can't really talk much about the plot because of the very nature of its genre. If I say things like, hypothetically, like, oh, this plot twist, or there are twists and turns, it would spoil the experience. You know, that is the point of the movie. It's a mystery. Just by its very nature, I can't go into detail about the plot. Not that I would, you know, this is a spoiler-free review. I'm just saying this movie's gonna be a little harder to talk about. That being said, it does get kind of complex. Or I don't know if complex is the word necessarily. Actually, you know what? Screw it. This movie's been out for almost a week. I'm gonna give you a light spoiler warning. I'm not gonna tell you major plot events in the movie, but just a light spoiler warning. Because throughout the movie, I was going along with the plot, you know, I could keep up, but then at the end, when the big reveal happens of the whodunit thing, Daniel Craig is going off doing his detective thing saying, this is how it happened. This, and then this, and then this, and then this. And instead of being like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I get it. Yeah, okay, that's really clever. Instead, I was all like, okay, I guess that's how it happened. It kind of felt like a big exposition dump. But the thing about exposition in movies for me, for those of you who don't know what exposition means, it pretty much means when a character in the movie just sits down and explains a big chunk of story that is like pivotal to the plot in a really obvious way. It's like, here, Here is some major plot stuff that you're gonna have to know. And people don't usually like it when that happens in movies. It's just called exposition dumping. And for me, sometimes exposition works, sometimes it doesn't. Example, the beginning of Frozen 2, where the king is telling the story of the Enchanted Forest to his daughters. It is a lot of exposition, but for me, it totally worked because it's setting up the story of the movie. Whereas at the end of Knives Out, when Daniel Craig is spilling all the exposition as the big reveal of whodunit, I just kind of went along with it and I was like, alright, couldn't really keep up with that, but if you say so. That is just kind of how it felt for me. But the most of the movie leading up to the big exposition dump, I felt was really good, really enjoyable. It's really shot well with these big exterior shots and even the interior shots. Like, it'll begin on a wide shot of a room. Like a classic whodunit story, it'll like show a shot of like a statue in the room and then something else in the room, and then it'll go to the characters. The music that sounds like classical music with the violins is kicking on is like dun, 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 dun. It totally gets you in the mood. You're like, alright, let's get down to the interrogation. And from there, I felt thoroughly entertained. And yeah, the music was really good. It was composed by Nathan Johnson, who is actually Rian Johnson's cousin. Nathan Johnson also composed the music for Looper, another Rian Johnson movie, in the 90s percentage on Rotten Tomatoes. And like I said, this music felt like classical music, which really fit in the vibe of this movie. The big elaborate violin solos are going on, which really does set up the complex nature of the plot of this movie, because violin solos are usually very complex. You want an example? Look up Sandy Cameron on YouTube. She's an amazing violinist. I'm getting off topic. The music was great. So in the end, I thoroughly enjoyed Knives Out. All the acting was awesome. The setting, the mood, and the plot, I could keep up with it until the end where it's just like, oh, okay, if you say so. For Knives Out, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. I haven't really had the urge to watch this movie again since I saw it, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like, if it's on TV someday, I'll be like, yeah, I'll watch this. So Knives Out, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And what is your favorite Rian Johnson movie? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.